My name is Jessica and I have no idea what I'm doing. I also picked an awful time to film. Some people say golden hour is good for everyone. It's bad for you guys being able to see what I'm doing and bad for me to be able to see what I'm doing. But if I stay over here, we should be okay. I am super, super, super excited. Also a little nervous because I don't want to be disappointed. But I bought the Lisa Frank x Morphe palette, which is the 35B palette. And look, it even says 35B on it. I know some people were disappointed because they were hoping for like a new collection, not an old palette in different packaging, and I definitely understand that. But for me, I was so sad when they discontinued the Morphe 35B. I do have the original one here. I've had it for 3 years. My cousin had given it to me for Christmas, and it's definitely one of my favorite palettes, if not my favorite. And, you know, this one is getting old, so I'm so glad that they have this one out now, because I now have something ready to replace it if that one starts going bad. They had 3 different designs for the palette to choose from. There was the tiger, there was the unicorn, and there were the aliens in the little Volkswagen. I chose the aliens, and I'm very happy with that choice, even though all 3 looked cute. I do have the carton here. This is what it looks like. It looks basically the same as the palette, and I like that the palette has this little flap. That's kind of cute. And then there's a little plastic sheet. There's a heart-shaped mirror, and they actually have the shade names on the shades. Just looking at it, I think it looks really pretty much the same. So I think we all know sometimes when companies re-release palettes, they're not exactly the same as the old one. I think if anything, this looks better. I feel like a few shades that were perhaps a little bit lackluster in the first one. Like I know I used to have trouble with this one, and not that I ever use this one, but this one does look better. So I think they tried to revamp the formula a little bit, which is hopefully a good thing. So I'm going to show you guys swatches later, and for now I'm going to do a few of my favorite looks to do with the Morphe 35B, and let's see how it goes. I will say that this does smell strongly of like makeup chemical type of smell, which my other one smells like that too. So if you already have the original 35B or you had it in the past, it's the same scent. Maybe that's a good thing. I'm going to start with my dollar store brush and create a base with Blanca and Princess Pearls, which are the matte white and matte beige. So far, seems the same to me. You know what, maybe what I should do, since I did prime both eyes, maybe I'll do the same look on the other side and see if it really does look the same when I use the other palette. So I'm going into the white and the beige yet again. Alright, so I'm just going to show you guys what I'm doing in this one. The other one is down below and is happening on this side. This one here is happening on this side. I'm going to go in with Sunflower, which is the bright matte yellow, with my fluffy brush from Wish. And that's going to be my transition shade. And then do the same on the other side. So far, honestly, the mattes seem to be exactly the same. And really, upon looking at these palettes, it looks like only the shimmers maybe were revamped. Like, I noticed a visual, like, difference. I have not swatched anything yet. Next, I'm taking my BH Cosmetics brush with a 3 on it and going into Zoomer and Zorbit, which is this lime-ish shade. I would would say maybe that one is ever so slightly different. I feel like this one is a little more lime, which I do prefer that, but let's see what it does on the eye. And that's going in my crease. I think Zoomer and Zorbit are the names of the aliens on my palette. And do the same on the other side. Yeah, I would say the old one is ever so slightly brighter. It's not a huge difference. It's really not. I'm being picky. And pigmentation, I mean, is really the same. I know you see me going like back and forth. And don't worry, I'm using the right one on the right side, cleaning them off in between. But both of them I have to like dip back in, build them up. That's just me being inconsistent. That's not the palettes. They are performing with the same level of pigmentation so far. Yeah, I think you can see that this one is ever so slightly darker. This one's slightly more lime. I do prefer the original, but that's not make it or break it. Next, I'm going in with my IBY crease brush, and I'm going to go into Angel Kitty, which is that matte, like deep turquoise, and I'm going even deeper into the crease with that one. And I'm going to say that that one is ever so slightly darker again than this one is. So now when I put that one on that side, oops, I made a little mess, and that's my own fault. I'm just taking my Beige Cosmetics brush with a 3 on it clean. Just gonna try and clean and blend a little bit on both sides. So yeah, I would say the original is ever so slightly lighter and brighter, which again I prefer, but they are pretty darn close. Then I'm going to take Spotty and Dotty, which is basically the same shade but a shimmer. Ooh, that looks nice. I'm gonna put that on the outer third of the lid. Just gonna put that in that spot that I missed. My own fault, not the palette. And then after cleaning off my finger, I'm going to use the same shade. So these feel different. I don't know if they'll perform differently. Honestly, it doesn't look like it. I would say the old one is a little softer and thicker, which I don't know. I prefer the feeling of that. I do. But I mean, honestly, the pigmentation is the same and the color is also the same. So it doesn't matter. Next, I'm going in with Peekaboo, this lime shimmer. This is one of my all-time favorite shades. And I'm putting that in the middle of the lid and going to blend that into the blue. That is so beautiful. And then I'm going into the other one, which again, I like the texture better, but it really doesn't matter because they're coming out the same. In fact, I feel like the new one is ever so slightly shinier, like more metallic. So that I definitely prefer. Can you see that? Yeah. Another one of my all-time favorites, Casey and Camus, the shiny yellow. Guys, I'm so excited. This is going on the inner third of the lid. And of course, course, blended into the green. Okay, I am seeing a difference with this shade. Not that it's bad, but it's one of those that like kind of don't want to come off your finger, but like it's there. And in trying to blend it, I kind of move the green around, so I gotta put some of the green back. And then let me take some of the old one. Yeah, the old one of the yellow is better. Honestly, you know what? It's not like I remember it. I actually have not used the 35B in a while, just because I've been trying out so many new things. So actually kind of the same thing happened. So I'm gonna have to, again, oop, that's the wrong palette. Oh well, we already saw the green, it's fine. Ow. Get too excited there. That is so beautiful, I love it. All right, for the brow bone highlight, I'm going to use my dollar store brush, and I'm gonna go into Rory, which is this beige shimmer. Honestly, not much happened. Let me see if I use my finger with that. Just try to get a little shinier. Okay, better. And then I'm going to use the same shade on the other side. Okay, definitely this one is shinier in the pan than that one. I feel like if you use a brush, the old one is definitely duller, like it's basically not a shimmer. If you use your finger, then you see the shimmer in the old one, but the new one is a little shinier. Again, if something is supposed to be shiny, I prefer it, you know, shiny. Then for the lower lash line, I'm just going to mimic what I have on the lid on the bottom. So I'm going to take the shimmery blue, the shimmery green, and the shimmery yellow in that order across the bottom. And I'm going to use my BH Cosmetics brush with a 5 on it to do all that. Okay, so what I will tell you is that both sides, neither one really applied great on the lower lash line with that brush. I think the shimmers for both of them are just better with a finger. But the point is that both of them were basically the same. And I have to say, I feel like overall, there's not really much difference so far. I will let you know how this side wears, both by itself and in comparison to the regular one or the original one. I am so happy. So far, I'm super pleased, super excited. Maybe a tiny bit disappointed that the formula isn't, like, say, even better. It's the same, but that's okay. I will take it. I'm so happy they brought this back. So let me give you guys some swatches. I'm going to just go across. So Blanca, Princess Pearls, Rory, and what does it say? Casey and Camus? Is that Camus? I don't really know. But yep, looks the same to me. That beige shimmer is a little finicky, but that, I mean, I can't imagine that you would buy this for that shade, so I certainly didn't. I barely used it in my old one. I'm going to use Sunflower, or not use, but swatch Playtime Kittens, Marky, and Balloon Buddies. Elephant John, Sasha and Shanty, Ballerina Bunnies, and Persilla. Wow. Yeah. So that Persilla one definitely is different from the old one. I had a lot of trouble getting that old one to work and like be shiny and shimmery. So I think that's going to be really nice on the lid. Next is Rainbow Chaser, Buzz, Hunter, Dashley. I don't remember all these names of like the little Lisa Frank critters, do you? Okay, Rainbow Majesty, Lollipop, Puppy Love, and Roxy and Rolly. I think this one here is going to be better. Maybe not. It's a pretty subtle shimmer maybe. It seems like at the very least you're getting the exact same palette. Peekaboo, Zoomer and Zorbit, Dancing Dolphins, Saturn Sunday. Oh, that green. Oops. Oh, what a mess. That was a bad idea. There we go. Let's see if I can make that Saturn Sunday one show up a little better just for swatching purposes. And we have Forest, Miss Galaxy, Prancing Eunice, Violet, and Velvet. Those are actually really nice together. Sky, Hollywood Bear, Ticani, Angel Kitty, yeah, I'm thinking that brown shimmer is going to be better than the old one, but I'm telling you, I really don't think I ever used that one in the old one. And obviously I'm here for all the rainbow shades. And then Spotty and Dottie, Panda Painter, and Max Splash. The black and the dark blue seem to be more pigmented than, say, the old one. All right, so here are all the swatches. They're beautiful. So far, so good. All right, so yesterday's eyes, both of them were exactly the same, and they wore well, so I am so happy so far. What I think I'm going to do today, instead of doing one of like my favorite looks to do, I think I'm going to use some of the shades that either didn't appeal to me in the other palette, this one, or gave me some trouble in the original palette, just to see if they're any better in this one. So same deal as yesterday, I'm going to use the new palette on this eye here and the old palette on the other eye. Both eyes are primed, and I'm starting with the same base that I used yesterday. But you know what? Upon closer inspection, this one and this one do look kind of different, and this one and this one and this one, this one and this one. You know what? This one as well. This one here and this one. So it seems like a few of the like pinky peach colors and this blue one here. It looks like they tried to play with these sparkles. So whereas this one had the slightest bit of sheen in it, this one now looks like it doesn't have any. And then these look to be like shimmery satins, whereas these had like the slightest sheen to them. Yeah, so there actually is a slight difference. So let's try to use those too. So in the new palette, I'm going to use Playtime Kittens, which is like a peach matte. And I'm going to use that with my fluffy brush from Wish. And if I'm correct, this is my transition shade. If I'm correct that the other one, the old one, is more of like a mauve color. See this one here? Let's see. Yeah, I would say this one is more peach and this one's more pink. I mean, not by a lot, but I see a difference. Do you? Then I'm going to use Dashly, this one here, with my BH Cosmetics brush with a 3 on it. I'm going to put that in the crease as well. And I think I'm going to put some of the Playtime Kittens back in because I think we lost it. And back in again with Dashly. And then the same thing with the corresponding shade in the other palette. You know, it's weird. I feel like this one is like a satin, but when it applies on the eyes, I feel like it's no different than the other one. Alright, next I'm going to go in with Sky, which is the deeper purple. This is one of my favorite shades, but sometimes I did have trouble blending it. And that's going even deeper into the crease. And I'm just going to try to work backwards a little bit because I feel like I lost the other colors. Yeah, I feel like the color and the pigmentation are the same, but I feel like I'm still having a little trouble blending. And then I'm going into the corresponding shade on the other side. Alright, I changed my mind. I think this, the new palette, Deep Purple, is a better formula than the old Deep Purple. And I'm not saying this one's perfect, but I think you can see it's better than this one. Next I'm going to use Hollywood Bear, which is the deep brown shimmer that I swear I don't think I've ever used it. I'm going to put that on the outer third of the lid. Then I'm going to use the corresponding shade on the other side. Yeah, I'm looking at it and I've never touched it. Never even swatched it. This one I would say is a little bit lighter and a little more of a shimmer satin. Whereas maybe this one's a true shimmer and a little bit deeper. Just a tiny bit. Yeah, I think they're both nice if you like that kind of color. But yeah, I would say this one's formula seems a little bit better and it's a little darker. But nothing too crazy. And again, I mean, if you buy this palette, I don't think this is the shade you're eyeing. And next I'm going to use Rainbow Majesty, which is like a red purple shimmer. I'm gonna put that on the middle of my lid. Yeah, not impressed with that one, and I have to say I never was in the old palette either. And then I'm going to take the corresponding one on this side. Yeah, it's exactly the same color. Wow. Yep, this one's even worse than the new one. So they did improve the formula for this one, but I still don't think it's great, but it's definitely better. Also, I really have to stop filming during golden hour. Next I'm going to use Persilla, that shimmery, I guess lilac-y pink, and I think this one is going to be an improvement. Ooh, yeah. So that's going on the inner third of the eye. Nice. And I'm going to go into that one on this side as well with the old palette. And this one has a little more of a white base, I would say. And you see what happens, whereas this one is soft and shiny. This one, well, it's still soft, but it loses its color, it loses its sheen. Yeah, this one I think is a big improvement. And then let's take a Rainbow Chaser. And with my Beige Cosmetics brush with a 5 on it, I'm going to run that across the whole lower lash line. And the equivalent in the other palette. I feel like this one maybe has a slightly more of a sheen to it. But it doesn't like really come off on the eye. Whereas the other one, it's basically just a matte with a couple little sparkles in it. So they come out looking the same. Then I'm going to take my smaller version of that brush from Wish. And I guess I'll go in with Roxy and Rolly. And put that on the outer third, just tighter to the lower lash line. And then I'm going to use the equivalent on the other side. Pretty much the same. And then maybe I'll throw a little bit of a lollipop in there as well, on maybe the inner 2/3. Again, closer to the lash line. And I just did the same on the other side. Alright, and then I'm going to take Marky, which is the Shimmery Peach. Ooh, that's darker than I expected. Well, we'll try it. I was going to put that on my brow bone. Yeah, oops. Not going back now, so I'm going to take a little bit of it on my finger. Let's see if we can get any more sheen. Yeah. So I feel like that one kind of works like the Rory shade, the Shimmery Beige, where it's still pretty subtle, but if you go with your finger, it's better. And then if I use that one on the other side with the other palette. I actually forgot to put that on with my dollar store brush first, but I think that one is about the same. And using my Beige Cosmetics brush with a 6 on it, I'll use that same peachy shade as an inner corner highlight, because why not? Yeah, not that intense. It's better. And I'll go back into the new palette and do the same. Yeah, I would say that one's about the same. Alright, so I would say nearly identical, with definitely the lighter lilac pink being a lot better than the old one. The dark purple is somewhat better than the old one, and the shimmery deep brown is a little bit darker, and I would say maybe a little bit better than the old one. These were not colors that I used often, or if at all, if you go by the brown one, because I would have a little bit of more trouble with them, and because they were softer, and obviously I'm reaching for that palette for all the brightest bright colors that I could find. But this just goes to show that you can do something a little softer. I mean, maybe the hot pink on the bottom isn't softer, but so far, still very happy with the palette, and it's at least as good as the old one. There are a few shades that the formula is better. Alright, yesterday's look wore well as expected, and both eyes looked the same. For my last look, I think I'm going to use the oranges and the reds, because upon closer inspection, it does look like they are kind of different. So if you look at the red and then you look at the shade under it, that's supposed to be an orange. In the new palette, it looks almost like a lighter red, where it's definitely an orange in the old palette. And then the oranges on the side, I feel like are a little different. So this last look is going to be a blend between one of my favorite looks to do with this palette and me trying out a couple shades that look slightly different from palette to palette. Same deal, both eyes are primed, new palette on this eye, old palette on this eye, and starting off with my dollar store brush and the white and beige matte shades to set my eyeshadow primer and create a base. With my fluffy brush from Wish, I'm going to start with Balloon Buddies, which is this warmer peachy orange, and that's going as my transition shade. Usually I use the yellow, but we use the yellow already. I could build that up more, but I think I'm going to leave it for now, and I'm going to use the corresponding shade in the old palette. You know, they looked different, but they're pretty much the same, with the new palette being slightly more pigmented. Next, I'm taking my BH Cosmetics brush with a 3 on it, and I'm going into Hunter, which, yeah, I'm telling you, that looks like I mean, it's a red orange, but it looks like more of a light red rather than an orange. And that's going in my crease. I think this one we're going to find the most difference in, because look at that shade here. That may look more red in the camera, but it's definitely an orange. Yeah, so more red, definitely more orange. So that one is definitely not exactly the same. Frankly, I don't know why they did that. Maybe because the other oranges are like kind of close, but I personally don't need 2 reds in a palette, not if they're going to be this close. So next I'm going into Buzz, which is the deeper red, with my IBY crease brush, and that's going deeper into the crease. And then with the red in the corresponding palette. So that's interesting. I feel like this red is less pigmented and more like the red-orange that was in this palette that replaced the orange that was in this palette. Does that make sense? Either way, I'm going to have to do more blending, so I'm going to use that Balloon Buddies shade again and just blend out the top. It's very pigmented, or rather, definitely more pigmented on this kind of brush. I'm going to use a mix of the shimmery beige and the shimmery yellow as my brow bone highlight. Roar and Casey and whoever on my dollar store brush. Once in a while, I like a pale yellow brow bone highlight. And of course, the same on the other side. Yeah, that beige really doesn't hold the candle to the new one. So I'm going to take the deeper red, the Buzz shade, and put that on the outer third of my lid. And then the same with the other palette. This one's definitely a drier texture. Then one of my favorite shades, I'm going to use Sasha and Shanty, which is the shimmery orange. in the middle of the lid. And using that same orange in the other palette. I would say the new one is maybe a little chunkier, but it's also a little shinier. Yeah, you could definitely see a difference. And then usually I use the shimmery yellow, but again, we already used that. So I'm gonna go in with Ballerina Bunnies, the light shimmery pink for the inner third. That's more of a shimmer satin, whereas this one, it's gonna look totally different because this one's basically a matte with little glitters in it that don't really show up. Yeah, there is definitely an improvement here. Seems like really a whole different shadow. Usually I just mimic what I have going on in the lid on the lower lash line, but today, just to try a couple more colors, I'm going to use my Beige Cosmetics brush with a 5 on it and go in with the lavender and go across the bottom lash line. And then do the same with the new palette, Prancing Eunice. Yeah, okay, so this one's a little more pigmented. And then using my smaller version of that brush from Wish, I'm going to use Violet and Velvet, the brighter purple. Well, not the brightest purple, but the brighter violet, and just line a little bit closer to my outer third. And this is one of my favorite shades of the palette. Alright, so final thoughts. Overall, I love the palette. I'm so happy that it's a nice replacement for my old one. A few of the shades do differ, but honestly, when it comes to those, it's either the ones in the new palette have a better formula. Not all of them. It's either the same or better. And the ones that differ color-wise, it's kind of a toss-up. Some of them I like better in the new palette, and some of them I like better in the old palette. Overall, though, I am very, very happy. Alright, that's it for today. I hope you have a good day no matter what it is you're doing. Bye! See you next time!